The same $100 enters two famous destinations, but food, movement, groceries, and one night will pull it in opposite directions. Today the wallet lands in Rio de Janeiro, then repeats the identical 5-round test in Los Angeles, our practical stand-in for California. The cheap meals may look convincing, but the real question is whether either wallet survives the room at the end. We will buy breakfast, ordinary transportation, lunch, a practical grocery basket, and one simple private room. Dinner only happens if money survives. Rio pairs world-famous beach scenery, with large differences between tourist zones and everyday neighborhood prices. Every total is rounded in US dollars. Taxes, tips, exchange rates, neighborhood, and booking dates can change the exact receipt. The Rio de Janeiro model uses current mid-2026 cost guides and transport information, checked close to production, rather than copied from an old viral post. California is represented by Los Angeles, because a statewide average would hide enormous differences between cities, suburbs, and rural areas. Round 1 begins with breakfast, the easiest moment for a city with strong local food culture to build an early advantage. Pão de queijo, fruit, eggs, and coffee at a modest local cafe represents the practical local choice instead of a hotel buffet or international chain. We round that breakfast to 5. It is filling enough to start a real day without pretending one pastry is a complete meal. Los Angeles uses a modest cafe order, toast or eggs with coffee before delivery fees, premium add-ons, or a fashionable brunch location. That California breakfast is modeled at $15. The first receipt already takes a noticeable bite from the original wallet. After breakfast, Rio de Janeiro holds 95 and California holds 85. The gap is visible, but 4 larger rounds remain. The second round asks what it costs to move through the city without renting a car or using repeated private rides. The model uses metro and bus rides connecting central neighborhoods and the beach corridor, enough movement to make the comparison practical rather than counting one symbolic ride. Transportation removes 6 from the Rio de Janeiro wallet. Good networks protect money by reducing the temptation to call a taxi. Los Angeles receives a rounded $5 transit allowance. It is affordable on paper, although coverage and travel time depend heavily on the route. The balances now read 89 for Rio de Janeiro and 80 for California. Transportation changes the gap, but lunch will move it faster. Lunch tests the middle of the market, local, casual, and satisfying, while avoiding luxury dining and impossible one-time bargains. The Rio de Janeiro plate is rice, beans, grilled fish, greens, and juice at a casual restaurant, built around food people actually recognize as an ordinary meal. That meal is modeled at 12. Venue and neighborhood still matter, but the number reflects a realistic budget-conscious choice. California uses a modest restaurant meal with a drink. Tax and tip can push an ordinary menu price above what the board initially suggests. We assign $22 to the Los Angeles lunch, with no appetizer, delivery surcharge, or premium waterfront view. After lunch, Rio de Janeiro retains 77 while California falls to 58. The grocery aisle now decides whether housing is even possible. Restaurant receipts are only half the story. A practical basket shows what everyday ingredients cost when the traveler shops instead of dining out. The basket includes produce, bread, milk, rice, or another staple, and a basic protein. It favors useful food over novelty souvenirs. Rice, beans, produce, and local proteins stretch the basket further than imported convenience food. We round the Rio de Janeiro basket to 32. This is a compact, practical shop, not a full weekly cart for a family. The California basket uses the same broad purpose, but brand, store, organic labeling, and neighborhood can move the checkout total substantially. We model those Los Angeles basics at $45, which consumes most of the money that survived breakfast and lunch. After groceries, Rio de Janeiro has 45. California has only 13, and neither traveler has paid for a bed. Housing is the final gate because a city can feel cheap all day and still destroy the experiment with one private room. Beachfront demand is expensive, so the scenario uses a simple room away from the premium ocean blocks. The Rio de Janeiro room is modeled at 42, including the reality that nightly travel prices are not the same as long-term monthly rent. Los Angeles uses a basic private room rather than a luxury hotel, but nightly prices still react strongly to location fees and booking date. The California room is modeled at $95. With only $13 left, the wallet cannot complete the transaction. Rio de Janeiro can cover the 42 room and keeps 3. The complete day is now one dinner away. The decisive difference is not a single cheap meal. It is whether food and movement preserve enough cash to survive the largest category. The room is paid, but the remaining 3 is not enough for the modeled dinner. The full day stops here. The experiment bought real meals, ordinary movement, and groceries in both places. Housing is where the purchasing power story separates most sharply. Rio changes dramatically by neighborhood, and transport convenience, safety planning, and booking season can affect the real budget. A visitor carrying dollars experiences Rio de Janeiro differently from a resident earning local wages and paying local obligations every month. Final result: Rio de Janeiro ends at 3, while California cannot fund the room. The largest advantage comes from protecting money before housing. $100 does not measure a city's quality. It reveals how food systems, transportation imports, land, and visitor demand reshape the same wallet. Which city should face California next? Choose one place with a surprising food scene, and one place famous for expensive housing. Subscribe if you want the next wallet counted from the first breakfast to the final room, with every balance visible on screen.